I have a cabin in butt-fuck nowhere, Colorado, that I decided to go up to for a couple of weeks. No internet, a single landline phone. It was state-of-the-art for the 1980s. On Wednesday, April 10th, Colorado had a blizzard. It wasn't too bad in cities, but where I was at, it was horrible. That's all the background that you need to know. Be sitting in my cabin, stoking the fire, during butt-fuck blizzard. Hanging out and watching some DVDs on a CRT, older than Father Time himself, since I can't go outside. Constant howling of the wind. Turn up volume. Eventually get up to piss, so I pause movie. Wind is no longer howling. Didn't notice, since TV was blasting. Find it strange, since it's been doing it for 4 hours now. Thank fuck it's over. Take a few steps until I hear it. Click. Look around. Literally have never heard this clicking noise, and I've been up there for 5 months now. Click. Realize it's coming from outside. A branch probably snapped and hit my cabin and is rocking back and forth or some shit. Fuck me, I'm not going outside. I can deal with the noise. Standing in bathroom, begin to piss. Click. Annoyed, finish up, walk outside bathroom. Click. Realize there's no consistency to the clicking sound. I can't even expect it. It happens whenever. Sit back down and continue to watch the movie. Turn volume down since the wind isn't howling. Clicking speeds up, multiple times a minute. Fuck it, I'll go take a nap or something on the other side of the cabin, so I can't hear it. Walk into bedroom. Clicking begins. My bedroom is like 50 feet from where the TV is, but the click is just as loud. Like it's fucking following me. Try to ignore it and go to sleep. The inconsistency of the clicking breaks me. Throw on some snow gear. Time to fuck up this branch for making me go outside. Walk the door and brace myself. Open it swiftly and feel old man winter fuck me up the ass. Quickly walk out and shut the door. Walk around cabin in blinding snow looking for a branch like an idiot. Make multiple laps and can't find the asshole. Assume it finally got loose and flew away. Go back inside. No clicking. Feels good, man. Go to take that nap in peace. Fall into a deep slumber. Wake up at about 2 p.m. Click, 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 click. Start to feel uneasy. Don't give it a second thought, and I throw on snow gear. Go outside. No branches, no howling, no nothing. Go back inside and go from mad to upset because I can't figure out what the fuck that sound is. Click, 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 click. Walk to different rooms to try and escape it. Click, 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 click. How the fuck is it following me throughout the cabin? Moment of realization. It's not coming from the sides of the cabin. It's coming from the roof. All rational thought has gone out the window from the sound of this fucking clicking. Snow gear and walk outside. Storm has calmed down for now, but it's still foggy. Can only see like 20 feet ahead of you. Walk around back and grab my ladder. Prop that shit up. This ends now. Begin to climb up ladder and stop. I could only hear the clicking inside, even over the howl of the wind. DEFCON 2X warned me about this. Climb up high enough to be able to see the top of the roof. At the top, I see a pale figure. Heart stops. DEFCON 1. The figure is hunched over. It's sickly thin, and I can see its spine. It's angled where it can't see me, but I can see it. See it moving slightly. Look slightly down, and see it has, on hand, a fingernail that's probably 6 inches long, literally just tapping the roof. It stops. It slowly turns its head to me. Black eyes and small slit for mouth. No facial features besides that. Almost like a crude drawing of a fucking alien. Begins to stand up. By the way, it is true. Your life does flash before your eyes when you think you're about to die. It stands up staring at me. Probably 5 feet tall, give or take. Walks the edge of roof of cabin, never taking its eyes off me. Hops down on the ground. I can see it land, and it slowly backs away into the fog towards the trees. Never stops locking eyes with me. Petrified. Probably didn't move for 5 minutes, or at least felt like it, in the blistering cold, gripping a ladder. Snap out of it. Climb down ladder carefully. Don't even bother to take it down. Realize I'm in shock. Calmly walk around cabin and go inside. Walk around house and turn off lights and put out fire. Grab keys and walk out. Don't bother grabbing anything else besides my wallet next to my keys. Storm has picked back up, but I literally am in some kind of trance that I don't even notice. Close the door and don't bother locking it. Slowly walk to car, open the door, get in, start it, and swing around. Still in shock, I drive for hours until I reach a motel. Shock is wearing off and I can feel myself ready to fucking go crazy. Quickly get a room, and now I start feeling adrenaline and rush up to my room. Open it and close it and start freaking the fuck out over what I saw. For a few hours, I was freaking out in the hotel room. I calmed down and slept for about 16 hours. I drove back up to the cabin, fucking bolted inside and grabbed my phone, ran out and locked the door, and got in the truck and sped off. After reading all the stories on X, I was more surprised than anything that I didn't immediately flip out, but instead just went into shock for hours. I got home a few hours ago after driving for a while and stopping multiple times to breathe and not flip out again. I think one thing people forget to mention is that fear comes in waves. I would be driving and be totally okay, and then suddenly it would hit me and I'd have to pull over and just sit in my car while I calmed the fuck down and didn't drive like a paranoid schizo or something. I came home and made myself a drink and typed all of this out. I don't know what I'm going to do with the cabin. I don't care right now. Night, assholes. Thanks for listening. Oh, and no, I didn't smell blood or copper. Another user says, grab some guns and friends and go cryptid hunting. OP responds, fuck that, man. These people who say they try and hunt these creatures after seeing them are LARPing. I have zero desire to try and fuck with that abomination. I'm not about to risk my life or people that I love on some fucking meme hunt for a creature that I believe is intelligent. This isn't hunting a deer. It's not like a deer will come attack you while you're walking through the forest. It's like hunting another hunter who knows the woods better than you do, and obviously can climb since he was on my cabin. Don't believe these fuckers on here who say they stayed and tried to kill it or whatever. No man would ever see something like that and think to stick around. Live in Wyoming. Hunt a lot, obviously. Go up to a family friend's land in the northwest part of the state to hunt. About 5 medium-sized cabins there. I sleep in one by myself. It has the kitchen and living room for the community in it. Time jump. Been there about 3 days, having fun with the boys. Night rolls around, go back to my cabin. Watch TV for a while, eventually try and drift off. There's a big-ass window on the wall of the living room, which I am sleeping in. Some deers outside, eating. See a huge fucking buck. Definitely would have been a national record. Go outside with maglite, want to get a picture to show everyone in the morning, and then go after him that day. Walk outdoor, shine light. The other deer are gone, just a big buck. Okay? Turn flashlight on. The buck freaks the fuck out, making noises and jumping around and shit. Think it's just CWD, which is chronic wasting disease. It's a big problem here. About to go over to owner's cabin, see if I can put it out of its misery. Go outside again. The deer's gone now. Go over to his cabin anyway, ask. He says yes, but he wants the horns. At least I get to be the one that put it down. Get into my hunting gear, plus my flashlight with extra batteries. Begin to track him into the woods. About 30 minutes into tracking, the tracks show that he was walking in a zigzag and dragging his feet, which is a symptom of CWD. The tracks abruptly stop. They change into a track that I haven't seen before. What the fuck? Keep tracking it, out of interest and also mild concern. Get into clearing. The tracks stop again. The wind starts blowing. Not cause for concern because it's Wyoming, and the wind is always fucking blowing. Start to look for another set of tracks. Hear a mumbling sound. I think it has wasting. Fucking exactly what I said to the owner. Put it down. We'll get rid of the body in the morning. Literally mind-fucked in every sense of the word. Shoulder my gun towards where the noise came from. Anon, what's up? That was in my voice. Fire. Fucking horrible noise. Like a cross between a mother losing her child and a pig being ripped apart by bears. Suddenly, I see the silhouette of something in the trees, standing on 2 feet, easily taller than me by a few feet, and I'm 6'5". Fucking haul ass back to my cabin, lock the door, post up with my rifle at that big window, occasionally look back to the door, sit like that all night. Morning, owner knocks on my door. Come outside. Peek outside to make sure it's not that thing. It's actually him, thank God. Go outside. Follow him to where the deer everyone had killed so far were stored. They're all picked clean of meat. The bones are still there. I notice something. The horns are also gone from every single one of them. Don't tell anyone about the thing because they obviously won't believe me. I just try to forget it. Still have no fucking idea what I saw that night. Also, everyone in camp blamed it on a bear, though that still didn't explain why the horns were gone. Be me, Chinese food delivery guy in Pennsylvania, not getting any more specific. Most I'll say is I don't live close to any metropolitan area worth noting. Thus, a lot of my drives are alone, and smelly. I can't even eat Chinese food anymore because of the smell. It has become so embedded in my nose and brain that I heave if I put that shit in my mouth. Like eating something to the point where you're sick of it, but someone pays you to keep eating. So, you do. A few drives of mine stand out above the rest. I'll share a short one. Roll up to restaurant for next pickup of the night. 10 bags. Jesus Christ, what? Busy night, I guess. Lots of orders? Nope, just one. The bagging lady chimes in. Excuse me, what? One person ordered 10 bags of Chinese food. Bill is massive, easily floating $500 range. Address is one I've never seen before, and it's far. Kind of excited because this should be one hell of a trip. Begin driving and taking in the details in case this dude orders again in the future. Place is remote as fuck. Every couple of minutes, some sort of key road feature becomes absent due to how far I'm going. First, the sidewalks stop running alongside the roads. Then, the street lamps. Then the lines on the road. Soon, I begin hitting random interim or gravel beds. Jesus Christ, this won't be worth it if I snap my fucking axle. Arrive at address, and it's literally just a stop in the road. No driveway, no sign, not even a fucking mailbox. Thinking my GPS fucked up monumentally, I call the guy to clarify the address. Gonna be mega pissed if I drove out here into Hick Woods just to get murdered. No answer. Fuck. Begin to dial restaurant to confirm address sent to me. But before I can finish, I'm stunned. Another car, oncoming, headlights on, etc. What the fuck is another car doing all the way out here? It begins slowing down. Welp, guys, drive by it is. Nice knowing you all. Car stops right next to mine, and he rolls his window down. It is then I realize he is a pizza delivery driver. He speaks.
Is this?
The exact same address I was sent to.
Yeah, I guess, dude. They order pizza? Yeah, huge order.
He's excited, likely for the same reason as me. Big tip, in before big gay. It's then when someone comes out from the brush. Even bigger, excuse me what.
Hey, guys, food.
This dude stutters. He's throwing me off big time. I don't feel like I'm going to be murdered, at least not quickly. I'd have preferred the drive-by. He's holding a flashlight, but isn't pointing it at anything. Just kind of off to the side. He's standing in a painfully bad posture, like visible scoliosis, the kind you can identify at a glance.
Thank you for arriving first,
he says as he snaps the flashlight directly at my face.
Hey, cut that the fuck out.
I snap in response. I don't enjoy 50 fucktillion lumens to the eyes. He snaps the light to the other driver's face.
You lose,
he says to him, but with absolutely no pause. What the fuck is going on here? Other driver and I look at each other with a mix of jittery fear and perplexion. Fuck this. In hindsight, this was not the best move, but I was sick of this gangly guy's attitude. I get out of the car and start unpacking the bags. He snaps the light to a spot on the road.
Here, please.
Meth confirmed. We'll get him next time. He snaps the light back and forth to the other driver's face and the spot he wants to food.
Man, what the absolute fuck is your problem?
Pizza Bro shouts, hustling now. I feel you, dude. I'm not enjoying this either. I finish unpacking my shit, so I go to assist Pizza Bro. Creep shines light at me.
Don't help,
he says with no pause, and his voice raised. Alright, sorry, man. I didn't leave him, but I sat in my car and waited for him to finish. Not leaving fellow delivery, bro. During this downtime, I get a good look as I could get at this Mong. Tall but shitty posture keeps his standing height at around 5 foot several inches. I imagine if he stood up straight, he would have easily been 6 foot several inches. His posture was that bad. I'm rattled. Pizza Bro has begun hustling and cussing under his breath, and I'm on the verge of a panic attack. I begin texting my boss, saying, I'm done. I'm taking the night off after this and going home. It is not up for debate. When I look up, the Pizza Bro is staring, wide eyes, like his eyelids were completely retracted, staring in my direction. Then I notice Gangly Dude is standing right next to my driver's side window now. For fuck's sakes, I'm done. So done. I'm holding back tears at the surprise because I didn't notice him move at all. I didn't hear him, see him, nothing.
Window,
he says sharply. I roll it down. Yeah, that was fucking retarded, I know. Gangly guy slips an envelope through the window before it has even finished opening. What I'll see next, I will never forget. He drops the envelope into my car and heaves and scuttles his way over to Pizza Bro's car, stopping a few feet in front of him, light in his face. This fucker was running a beanbag race with no beanbag. That's perhaps the most precise way to describe how this fuck moved across the road. A rapid undulation that propelled him forwards. I can almost hear the audible pop that marked the end of my stress tolerance. The sound before people snap and do psychotic things. That's it. I can't take this. I'm fucking out. I shift into drive. I floor it. I don't know where I'm going, but if hell had an exit, I was going to find it. I'm sorry, Pizza Bro. I can't take this shit anymore. It's a good 15 minutes of driving. It is then I realize I didn't count the total. It is also then I realize I don't give any fucks. I set GPS for home. Don't stop back at Chinese restaurant. Gunning it now, barely slowing down for turns. I get home. I get inside. I kill half a handle of whiskey and go to sleep. For a while, I was too nervous to go anywhere and too nervous to go on deliveries. This was not helped by the fact that a mere 3 days later, a missing persons case was opened for a pizza delivery driver, one town over. The search concluded that he had skid off the road and hit a tree because his car was found essentially wrapped around a tree. There were photos of the crash site from many angles. No sign of him, just the vehicle. The most fucked up thing, the bags from the food we delivered were, in some of the shots, and visibly torn into. Someone asked if he talked to the police, to which he said, "I thought about this briefly, but I was a huge pussy. Basically, I went full bitch mode. The right thing to do would have been to give my side of the story. But again, I was a terrified pussy. I doubled down on drinking and smoking to quell my anxiety because, at the time, I was in no shape to revisit the events of that night after seeing the crash photos. The thing is, the car appeared to be, in the photos, in about the same spot where the whole ordeal took place due to the bags. But that isn't a safe, solid assumption. So how do I explain the part where his car goes from being parked on the road to being wrapped around a tree, like it had hit the thing at Mach 7? At this point, I'm simply glad that I arrived first. I met a lot of people when I drove for them, but I attribute that to mostly being in a junkie-scattered part of Pennsylvania. Junkies could, in many situations, pass for possessed people or outright demons, but you aren't advised to stick around long enough to find out, unless you like getting stabbed, chased, or shot over nonsense. This one was the opposite. Very polite woman. Too polite. Be driving a well-spread set of orders, lots of deliveries, all annoyingly far from each other. Middle of the spread, drive to a surprisingly well-groomed house. Mowed lawn, trimmed shrubs, edged walkways, etc. Even a pink flamingo. Vaporwave intensifies. Grab bags, trot up to the door, and let them know that the food is here. Woman answers the door. She's wearing a checkered pantsuit. This is exclusively uncharacteristic for these parts. Literally only house and person like this.
Good evening,
She sings to me. Southern belle draw. Check. Freeze like the autist I am because this is all so out of place.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. Your total is...
X amount. She takes my pen to sign and fumbles it. I notice she's only using one hand, and her other is hidden behind the wall.
Alrighty, this is yours.
Hands me pen.
And would you like this back? I'm sorry. Would I like what? This back.
She yanks her hand from behind the door and is holding a leash. It was a perfectly intact chicken on a leash. I wait for a moment, trying to give her time to further elaborate, but she doesn't. She's smiling politely, apparently full expecting me to answer as to whether or not I want the chicken.
No thanks. You can keep it.
I managed to tell her.
Are you sure? We're done with it. All good to go.
Done with it? What the fuck were you doing to it, for fuck's sakes? I will note this. Looking back, I was surprisingly calm during this whole exchange. Despite all the red flags, not once was I really fearful of what was happening, which is odd because I'm a little anxious bitch. I should have seen this step-forward wife shit and bailed, but I didn't.
Sure, I'll take the chicken. Does it have a name?
I noticed the chicken isn't particularly mobile. It is very still, but it's still an intact chicken.
His name is Michael. Please take care of him. He's the first of his kind.
Dude, what are you smoking?
I will take excellent care of him. Thank you and good night.
She smiles quite widely and closes the door, Michael barely out of the frame. So much for taking care of him. I walk back to the car, Michael in tow, but something's off. I am by no means a farmhand, but I know what a chicken looks like when it walks. Their heads bop, they step in little bursts of movement, they scan their surroundings frequently. Michael was doing none of this. He was calmly walking with perfectly even pacing, head staring straight ahead at all times. I only noticed this because when he went down the 3 steps to the walkway, it was very unnatural looking, and so I watched him as we walked to observe. He's my chicken now, apparently. Might as well take care of him. right? As we get to the car, Michael is stuck. He won't flap his wings to get in the car, so I pick him up and put him in the back seat. Just my luck, I get the autistic chicken in before we match. Fast forward, I'm working through my spread, trying to focus on driving since I realized I spent a little bit too long talking to the Stepford wife. I glanced back periodically to check on Michael, but not once had he moved from where I had placed him. Last stop of the night, deliver food. The guy pays, doesn't tip me because he's broke. Whatever, man. Get in car, check on Michael. He isn't moving. Wave of panic. I check on him, and he's cold. 100% dead. Also, oddly frothing at the mouth. Feel sad. Didn't know him for more than one evening, but still upsetting when critters die. Also, I'm a bitch, so this kind of thing gets me. Doesn't get me to do much, though. I drive up the road a bit until I'm out of sight, take him out, kinda neatly place him in nearby brush, and press F. Life goes on. I don't forget him, though. Not because he's a special chicken, but because of the exchange that led me to him. After what's to come, I'm certain I'll never forget. Fast forward a few months, slow evening for deliveries. About to leave for the night and get a last-minute order. Kinda want to bail, but boss shows me the address, and it's the Stepford wife. Never mind, I'm invested now. I want to know what was up with Michael. Again, during my first encounter, I was completely devoid of stress and anxiety. Seeing the address pop up almost felt like an invitation. Drive on out, same clean house, same flamingo, etc. Get out, walk up, and do the same thing as before.
Good evening,
She sings to me again. Same checkered pantsuit, too.
hello again. Remember me?
I'm a creep, I know. She is unfazed, accepts food, and signs with one hand again. Oh, no, not again.
Alrighty, this is yours.
Hands me pen, the remix.
And would you like this back?
I hesitate for some time. I likely already know what she's referring to. But I can't begin to understand this ritual happening between us.
Sure, I'll take it. The chicken, right? Of course, that's what you brought me last time.
She sings. Excuse me? I glance briefly at the order. She ordered chicken this time as well. I hesitate for some time once again, but this doesn't faze her. She doesn't ask me about my autism, just politely waits for me to accept the chicken.
Sure, I'll take it. Alrighty, here you go.
She pulls the leash around and, whew, lad, it's a fucking chicken.
Thanks, bye.
She closes the door once again, almost hitting the chicken. Didn't ask for the name, anticipated it dying soon anyway. This is not what would happen. And I didn't ask about Michael, even though I thoroughly intended to. I can't explain it. I just simply didn't. It had been my foremost thought on my mind for the drive up, until it simply wasn't. Get into the car. Total silence as I try to process the information. But something felt wrong. It was as if my brain treated the obvious final conclusion as a taboo. Trying to believe what I had heard resulted in a fuzzy head high that disoriented me until I found myself posing the question again from the beginning. I drive off. I make it about 50 feet before two things happen. One, the conclusion finally became thinkable. I could think about it without my mind becoming a satellite dish during a heavy rain. Two, I am hit with perhaps the worst anxiety of my life. This wasn't a panic attack, just a wave of fear and chills. If you have ever browsed creepy pictures and found something so unexpectedly disturbing and gotten chills, imagine that, but experiencing it for a solid 10 seconds straight. Needless to say, I found myself slamming the brakes to cope so I wouldn't actually die. I sat quietly for a while and decided to let Michael 2.0 out of my car because I didn't want anything to do with that address anymore. I placed him by the roadside, and he stood totally still, unmoving, which now felt incredibly vulgar to watch. Seeing this animal behave so atypically brought the chills back, and so I rushed to the car and left him. I didn't look back. I call my boss, tell him I'm going home. He doesn't care because it's the last delivery anyway. She would order twice in the future, but I refused to go there again, so the other driver would go instead. I asked him about his experience after his first trip, and he said it was fine. I never asked him about his second trip, because afterwards, he called in sick for 5 days straight, and was ultimately fired for this behavior. Alright, here goes. Not gonna pre-write because, well, fuck that noise. Have dad that lives in the middle of the Ozark Mountains. Stay with him for a few weeks to a month every summer. Mom has custody, but she and dad are on good terms. House isn't great, but he made a lot of the furniture out of local cedar, and he's a pretty skilled carpenter/engineer type. Has his own sawmill and woodshop that we, brother was with me, used to make candlesticks and tables and things when we got older. House had this little screen wall porch, important later on the side, 90 degrees away from the door. It has a sliding door, but it's busted, so you have to walk about 20 feet around the house each time you want to go in or come out. Anyway, be 11 or 12. Few days left until we go home to Mom's. Excited to go home and play vidya. It's nighttime. Me and bro's bedroom is on second floor. Only window has good view of front yard. Trees to left and right, driveway and road to front. Trying to fall asleep, but too excited. Hear dad and stepmom talking downstairs, which is weird because they're usually asleep by 10ish. Front door opening. This is weird. Look out window. See dad walk out with a flashlight and his old double barrel. I don't know the model. I'm sorry, commandos. Goes the leftmost tree line and shines light here and there. Debate waking brother up about this, but he gets pissy really easy. Hear gunshot and nearly shit myself whipping back to window. Look back in time to see dad thumb another shell into the breach. Whatever he was doing, he wanted 2 shots at the ready. So nervous, I actually hear the clack of the gun. See him walk backwards all the way to the house, trying to hold his gun and flashlight up at the same time. It was one of those big clunk fucking ones that used a massive battery. He makes it uneventfully. I'm too wired to fall back asleep. Next few days, he seems weird and more quiet than usual. Doesn't want to do any of the stuff that he normally leaps at with us. We left a few days later, and I was too chicken shit to ask him about it. The next year we visited, though, things were different around the house. Drive up to his house. Rode there with a half-grown English Mastiff taking up 80% of the back seat. Friendly enough to us, but slobbery. Finally make it around late afternoon. Suddenly. Lights. Fucking everywhere. Floodlights at each corner of the house. Lights on posts. Goddamn Christmas lights strung up around the outside. Honest to God, watchtowers set up on 3 sides of the house. Sawmill's been moved. New platform on top of the woodshop. 4 or 5 new guns. All high-powered rifles. Again, no model because I was a kid. My fuck, there's even a concrete bunker. It's Kay's wet dream. I shit you not, my dad's place is still set up like this. It was in the days before camera phones, early 2000s, and it never occurred to me to take pictures of his shame until now. Ask him what it's all for. Platforms, deer stands. 4 of them, all within 200 feet of the house. The bunker, auto maintenance. Nice roof on your auto maintenance pit. The lights, to make the place more cheery, or to blind commercial aircraft. The dogs and guns, to keep weirdos off the property. The way he answered my questions still bugs me. They sounded 100% rehearsed. Anyway, thanks for reading past all the expository bullshit. I needed to set the stage for the next post. Now for the shit my dad doesn't like talking about. Go to bed that night. There's a new heavy curtain on the window. Why? Because the lights are always on. Wake up that night to a gunshot. Look outside. See dad on one of those deer stands, working the bolt on one of his new guns. Something's up. Next morning, he's practically vegetative. Ask him about last night. Trying to get us a deer to barbecue. Ask if I can go outside and play. He thinks for a moment and says yes, but not to go off into the woods. Super intense eyes when he said that last part, despite being raccoon-eyed. Go outside, make a beeline for the stand that he was on last night. Feet clink on pile of 30-round shells. If you've been doing your math, all the new gear plus those expensive-ass rounds should be adding up to quite a sum. His job's not terrible, but that crap must have been expensive. Fast forward a few days. Dad got a pig from one of his neighbors. Closest one is at least 5 miles in any direction, and we spent the day learning to barbecue properly. Dad has the shotgun on standby, and Fonzie, his old German Shepherd, nearby the entire time. That evening, we're all sitting on the screen porch, licking our fingers when Fonzie starts barking his head off, staring at the ravine behind the house. The dogs on the other side start barking and growling too. Dad starts up and nearly knocks the plate off his lap. He grabs the gun and stares down the ravine. Cat, which is my stepmom, take the boys inside. Suddenly hear sound of branches snapping from trees near the bunker. We're being flanked. Brother and I are swapping nervous glances, just about pissing ourselves. Without a word, Dad hands Cat Fonzie's leash and takes the rear while she leads us inside. Once inside the greenhouse, it's straight shot to the door, and the 6 of us go in. Dad grabs a flashlight, a new gun, and a bug-out bag filled with rounds, and goes outside with Fonzie. Cat tries to keep us entertained with a stash of old kids' tapes, but neither of us are interested. Brother wants to go out and help Dad. I'm pissing my britches. For about half an hour, it's nothing but gunshots, growling, and the occasional yell from Dad. The window-mounted AC is running, and there's a weird smell to the air. Old barbecue, gun smoke, and something absolutely awful. Not trying to copy OP, but it's almost exactly how he put it. Rank horse sweat mixed with something like old manure, and hot death and stale piss. Cat decides to risk it and opens the door to see what's going on. When she does, the house is immediately flooded with a stench. She shouts out to him. He barks back, "Keep that closed!" She keeps that closed. Eventually, bodily needs overcome fear, and I walk off to the bathroom. It's set on the wall that faces the ravine. This next bit's gonna sound seriously fake, but it's the reason I keep all my windows covered to this day. As I'm shitting, I look up at the bathroom mirror. Something in the reflection looks back at me. It's illuminated by the light from inside and outside, so I get a better look at it than I ever would have wanted to. Bullet-shaped head, but not in the traditional sense. Stand a 9mm round on its base, and you get the idea. Rough gray or red fur with a forward-facing whorl, that little swirly thing on the back of your head, and what looks like a part on one side. The eyes, fuck me, the eyes are the absolute worst. Its face is sort of lopsided, but the nose is large and squashed. The mouth is hanging open a little, and the teeth are sort of tombstone-shaped and cruddy. My butthole nearly explodes from the sheer force of my fear shits. I just sit, shit, and stare at the thing's reflection, my mind failing to change gears. Then it leans forward, and I hear the clunk of its face hitting the glass above my head. The new source of input recalibrates my brain. It realizes that this thing is right the fuck behind me. I start wailing like a banshee, hear the thing gurgle, fucking gurgle, through the glass. Flail/sprint my way through the bathroom door, trip on my pants, which is still around my ankles, and get a chunk of wood from the kitchen's shitty particle board floor, lodged in my knee. Too scared to feel pain or embarrassment, Cat and Brother come into the kitchen, see me panting and sobbing, sprawled on the floor, pants around my feet, staring at the bathroom. I didn't even have time to wipe. Cat asks what happened, and as I pull my pants up, Dad comes barging through the door. Guess he heard my screams and thought I was being befuckled by some big gurgling monkey dog bastard. He sees me on the floor, bleeding, and immediately starts yelling about how I raised that much of a racket over a busted knee. I see his fear or relief or anger and raise him the hurt and pure terror of a tween that lost a staring contest with a fucking monster. Tell him about the thing I saw. He tells me and my brother to go upstairs. I don't remember much after that, except he went back out, left one of the other dogs with us, and that cat helped clean and bandage my knee. The next day, Dad wouldn't let us go outside, but the smell was still in the house. He called our mom to come to Springfield, halfway meet-up point, the next day. The pig was gone. About 80 pounds of exquisitely barbecued leftovers and carcass that Dad had promised a neighbor in exchange for the pig. One of the dogs was missing. Dad stayed inside with us that night. I was too afraid to go downstairs to the bathroom, so he gave me a milk bottle and an extra blanket as a privacy tent. And that's really it. He took us to Springfield the next day after making us promise not to tell Mom. I might have not shown it very well, but he loved the hell out of us and didn't want to stop bringing us. I was there again a year or so ago. We barbecued in his new, hand-built smokehouse. Drank, shot the shit, but the second I brought up the incident I've been posting, it killed the mood immediately. All he said was, "We haven't been having any trouble for the last few," and went back to drinking. It's worth mentioning, though, that there's another new addition to his place. A concrete slab off past the trees in the back of the house. It's not raised off the ground, and it's not very cleanly laid out. It's about 5 feet wide, 6 or 7 feet long, and if you kick up the dirt around it, you dig up a thin layer of black shit like soot. Now, I'm not saying that he managed to kill one of the things, burned its corpse in a pit, and buried it under all concrete. But if he did, I hope it was the big gurgly bastard. In the other thread, some folks were talking about getting together to go out and fighting evil beings in the woods. Well, Kay, I have a story about doing just that. Be 18, fresh out of high school, no job, have all summer to fuck around. Joke with cousin about going out and hunting monsters. After much deliberation, we decide to go looking for nasties. We tell our parents we're going on a camping trip. Cousin finds a few guys with spooky stories on the internet. A select few are down with us, coming by to have a look. Not really expecting anything, but pack up SKS and a few hundred rounds of surplus ammo. My cousin, his friend James, and I hop in my cousin's truck and head up to the Upper Peninsula, since we had 2 leads from that area. The first place is a joke. Dude suspects a baddie of some sort is tormenting him. It's just coyotes. Next day, head to the next place. Now, shit gets serious. The landowner tells us a story about how he and his friends were camping way back in the woods, and that he was stalked by some sort of humanoid near an old abandoned house in the woods. The landowner leads us out to the place, packing a 30-30. The forest seems unusually silent. We set up camp. That night, I wake up to the sounds of shooting. Jim is outside with his Mossberg, shooting into the dark. Says he couldn't sleep and saw something scurrying around on all 4s, checking out the camp. Calm down, dude. We sleep in shifts. Next morning, we find blood near the camp. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Eat breakfast and walk around for hours until we come to an abandoned house. We decide to check it out. Check out ground floor and upstairs first. Don't find anything but old furniture and shit. We need to go into the basement. Basement is pitch fucking dark. Draw straws. I get the short one. I have to go in first. On the 3rd step down, a gut-wrenching scream rings out from the basement. I fall on my ass from fright and slide down a few steps before catching myself. A humanoid figure on all fours is bounding up the steps. It has dark brown skin and razor teeth. Try to shoulder SKS. It gets a few steps in front of me before I can shoulder my weapon. Cousin hits it with a 357. The fucker's hardly phased. I kick it, knocking it back just enough to shoulder my SKS, and mag dump the thing. After much convulsing, the thing stops moving. And I shit you not, the thing just turned to dust. It turned to dust right in front of my goddamn eyes. The fucking thing was screaming the whole time. It was unlike anything I had ever heard. We let the landowner know what happened, and we left. We don't really talk about it anymore. Sometimes, while I work or go to school, I get the feeling that I was born to protect people from things like that. I haven't gone looking for monsters since, but I feel like working and going to college is a waste of my time, and that I was put on Earth to hunt these things. Hi, X. Today, I, for the first time, want to share with you my story. Even though it told me not to speak nor write down its name, I will try to Greentext it all, but bear with me. I will probably also write something in detail outside the Greentext limitations. Be 16 years old, normal kid, didn't have many friends, just the usual 2 to 3 close ones. Live in the country. Hunting is one of the main entertaining things to do here. My father taught me how to hunt birds, deer, moose, you name it. I always looked up to my father. Be out hunting for forest birds, I don't know the English name, one day. It's summer, the sun is shining, and it's hot outside. We walked through the forest, not much luck with the birds, but I loved spending time with my dad, so I didn't really care. Arrive at a small lake, decide to take a break, eat some food and drink some water. My father spots an old beer bottle kind of hidden in the grass. There is no signs of human activity in this forest, so it was kind of a little strange. Dad jokingly says,
"One day anon, when I'm gone and dug down in the dirt, I want you to find this place, open this beer, and drink it while thinking of the days that we went hunting together."
Dad puts the bottle down in the grass, under the tree that he found it at. We get up and leave. This beer bottle will become significant later on, so just bear with me. Fast forward 2 years. My dad unfortunately passed away, natural causes, as a heart attack. Be 18. Visit my parents' home where I grew up. I moved to the town across the fjord to go to school. It's wintertime by now. Happy to see my mom doing well, even though my dad passed away recently. I decide to spend the weekend. When I wake up the next day, Saturday, I suddenly remembered the old beer bottle that my dad and I found while hunting back in the day. The days are short. The landscape looks a lot different when the snow covers up the trees and ground in the winter, and I had not been into these forests for a while. Deciding to go anyway, I grabbed my dad's old hunting equipment, including my old rifle. After driving for maybe 30 minutes on my dad's snow scooter, I reached the thick part of the forest. Too thick, have to walk the rest. I figure it wouldn't take long to reach the lake that me and my dad sat down by 2 years ago. As I walk through the completely white landscape with snow to my waist, minutes turned to hours. Wind was picking up and it started snowing. Fuck. Decided to turn around and get back before shit hits the fan. Too late. By now, it's a full-on blizzard. The trees around me support me with some cover, but the thick snow falling down from the sky makes my vision really bad. I get lost. And it's getting darker. Fuck it. Decided to build me some kind of shelter under a tree, remove some snow, build it into a wall to decrease the wind flowing through my shelter. The wall goes around the trunk of the tree, leaving me some space. I break off some branches and put them on the ground, just to isolate, to prevent loss of body heat. Now laying on the ground with little to nothing to cover myself with, I figured this trip wouldn't take long, and didn't really take any survival gear with me. I know, fucking stupid. It gets darker, and the blizzard eventually calms down. Now only big fluffy snowflakes slowly surf down from above. The sight is kind of comfy, even though I'm sure I'll die if I don't engage in some type of activity to prevent even further loss of body temperature. I start doing push-ups, sit-ups, some squats, but it doesn't really help. Can't stay here anymore. I need to get back, or I'm a goner. My tracks are gone, as if no one ever walked out here. Fuck. Chose the general direction of where I thought I came from. Start walking. In what seemed like forever, I ended up in snow up to my waist, just the same as before. It had gotten a lot colder, and now the only light from the moon guided my way. Crack. Wait, what? It sounded like a fucking avalanche. And then I realized I'm on top of frozen water. As fast as I could throw myself down and spread my limbs as to spread out my body weight. Too late. Crack. I fell through the ice. The cold water gave my body shock as I, in panic, tried to get up, only cracking more of the ice. I started hyperventilating and could feel the weight of my clothes drag me down. This is it. I'm dying out here. How fucking ironic. Trying to celebrate my dad's life, and I'll die myself. After some time, hard to say how long, it all felt like an eternity. My feet slowly lost their ability to move. I thought to myself, just give up. No one will help you. And just as I said the last word of that phrase, inside my head, I saw it. The Death Dealer. This this thing was huge. I'm sure it was taller than 7 feet. I couldn't really tell the details from where I was, laying almost dead from hypothermia in the water. My mind was clouded. A long and gray/white hand gently reached out to me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to fucking die. I grabbed the hand with all the strength I could muster. The thing lifted me up, as if I was lighter than a feather, gently putting me down on the ground. Now, I could see it, with every detail. At first, I thought it was an angel. My guardian had come to save my life, for it was not yet my time. But no, this was no angel, not at all. It was tall, as I mentioned, above 7 feet. It was completely white or gray. It had huge black eyes, looked like a couple of oversized marbles, a thin black lip stretching from cheek to cheek. No ears, hair, nose, not any human features really. This creature just looked at me, and then it fucking smiled. The mouth on this thing, it was fucking terrifying. The teeth was as long as needles, and even darker than its eyes, standing out in all directions, and a blood-red tongue hidden far back into its jaws. It also had spikes standing out here and there, but not spikes sticking out from its skin, but instead spikes that looked to be a part of its body.
What the fuck are you?
I screamed while crying, confused and filled with fear to the core. Its mouth didn't move, but this dark, but gentle voice entered my head, as if it was speaking directly into my mind.
Ezekiel.
Now I've Googled and searched for answers. This name apparently is the name of a fallen angel in Christianity. I don't believe much in religion, but I don't fucking know, guys. I'm still scared shitless. The story doesn't end here, though. I couldn't move. I was cold as the water I just fell into. Every sense that the human body had screamed to run. Run as fast as you can, run. I could not, even if I wanted to. My body stayed there, in the shadow of Ezekiel. The same voice as before trembled through my head. This time, not as gentle, more like the sound of thunder. It was strong.
Do you wish to die?
What? No, I don't want to fucking die. Get me the fuck away from me, you fuck. Panic. I could not open my mouth. I could not speak. I could almost not breathe.
Very well.
My body started warming up. I swear I could feel the ice melting from my skin and clothes. It was like an explosion of heat beneath my skin.
Walk.
Ezekiel lifted its twisted hand towards the forest. It did not need to tell me twice. My body could finally move again. And boy, I ran. I ran so fucking fast. The snow was as deep as before, but it didn't affect my current speed. I swear I beat some type of world record as I bolted through the forest. I wasn't sure what to expect though. I just wanted to get away from that thing. It was so out of this world. Nothing I have ever heard about or seen before. At that point, I only accepted the fact that I was alive, and that Ezekiel saved me out of kindness. But I could never have been more wrong. After running for a long time, I could feel the forest loosen up, not quite as thick and dense as before. And there I saw my glorious stallion, the snow scooter, covered in snow, almost invisible. But I saw it. I jumped on, started it up, and headed back to my mother's house. My mom sitting in my father's old chair, crying, was the first thing that I saw. And then my neighbors and the local police officers.
Where the hell have you been, Anon?
My mother said, and then hugged me, as if it was the last time she hugged me.
Son, you have some explaining to do,
one of the officers said. So I sat down and explained the whole story, except the part about Ezekiel.
Thank God you're alive, son. In this cold weather, most men would have died after breaking through a frozen lake like you did.
Thank God, I thought to myself. God had nothing to do with this creature in the woods. There was something sinister about it all. The police officers and the neighbors left. My mother went to bed, and so did I. Before finally getting a good night rest, I took one last look out my window in my old room, second floor. And there it was, standing. Not quite tall enough to reach my window, but its face was looking straight at me.
Speak of, or write down my name, and what has been given will be taken. You have a debt to pay.
The same voice as before, as powerful and clear as a presidential speech. This sentence is burned into my memory, and I pray to God that writing this won't put me in any kind of trouble. And then, it vanished. Where, you probably ask? I don't know. It just fucking disappeared into the dark night. Now, to this day, I have met with Ezekiel several times, in my dreams and in life. I'm not quite sure what to do. My mother fell sick not long after the first time I met the creature, and once again, it approached me, asking if I wanted her to die or live. I, of course, said I wanted my mother to live, and not long after, the sickness was gone, as if she just healed it away in one night. I fear I have taken choices which is not mine to take, and I fear for my life and soul, if we have a soul. This death dealer seems to prevent life from being taken away, but I'm certain it can take life too. It is as if Ezekiel is using me, only as a vessel to fulfill the creature's purpose. to seal deals with it so that it can take the souls of whom it has a deal with when we die. That's why I fear my life, my mother's life, and all the other lives I've had the chance to save or let go. They will ultimately fade away when I do. Thanks for listening. Please let me know if you've heard of anyone else with any similar experiences. I am now 24 years old. I hope to live long, but I'm not sure, as Ezekiel is always watching me, waiting in the darkness. I never went into those forests again, for the fear of my life. Guys, I'm not fucking around now. Something weird is going on here. I think it might be Ezekiel. I see this dark, tall figure in the corner of my eyesight. Shit in my apartment is falling down. And I keep hearing this deep rumbling sound. I'm fucking scared. OP, do you come from Northern Europe? What's your email? I wonder if I could contact Ezekiel on the internet. Hold on, wait. Someone's reply here. Then the death dealer gave me cool powers, and I got a black diamond sword and the ability to kill anyone when I feel like it. I can shoot fire and do front flips really high. Being revived by death is so cool. My fanfic, don't steal. Nice. Thanks. Death gave me a new name. Shadow Slayer Master. Alright. Waiting in the darkness. Banish him, you pussy. How though? I don't even know what it is. I only know it's fucking powerful as fuck. The shit I've experienced through the years. Man, let me tell you. It can control life and death. I mean, what more do you need? Offer to suck his schnitzel. In what seemed for whatever, I bathed in snow up to my waist. What are you trying to say? In what seemed for whatever, I bathed in snow up to my waist. What are you trying to say? I guess I'm gonna just take a guess here. In what seemed for whatever. I'm assuming they're saying in what seemed like whatever. I set GPS for home. I don't stop back at Oh, I can't say that. Oh, fuck. Grab bags, tread up to the door, and ding dong ching chong food is here. I can't. Fucking Christ.